Right, good day everyone, and welcome back to today's lesson. In this lesson, we'll be looking at combination of laws. We have been considering and looking at law of indices, and we've looked at various laws of indices, giving various examples. Now, in this class, we'll be looking at combination of two or more laws to solve a particular problem. Example says evaluate the following. So we have 4 questions to evaluate in this lesson. So number 1 says in number 1 we have 16 raised to power minus 1 over 2. Now when you look at this, you see that we are using negative index because the index, which is the power, is a negative number. Then it's also a fraction. That means we are making use of negative index law and fraction index law. So the negative index law says that if you have a raised to power n, for example, it's the same thing as 1 over a raised to power n. That is taking the reciprocal of the number, raise it to the corresponding positive index. Okay, that's the negative index. Then the fraction index says that when you have a raised to power 1 over n is the same thing as n root a. So like now we're having 16 raised to power minus 2. So the first thing we do is to take the reciprocal of that. So this is going to give us 1 over 16 raised to power 1 over 2. Okay, then we now apply the fraction index. So that means this is going to give us 1 over square root of 16. Okay, it's supposed to be 1 over 2 root 16, but 2 root 16 is the same thing as square root of 16, so there is no need of putting the 2. So you remove the 2 and take the square root. That will be equals to, what is the square root of 16? Square root of 16 is 4. That is 1 over 4. And that is that about this. Then the second question, 27 raised to power 2. 27 raised to power 2 over 3. Minus over 3, sorry. Number 2, 27 raised to power minus 2 over 3. Minus 2 over 3. So the same way, first take the reciprocal of 27 because it's a negative index. That gives us 1 over 27. Then raise it to corresponding positive index, 2 over 3. Okay, then we solve further by now applying the fraction index. So we now have 1 over, now we are taking the third root of 27, then we raise to power 2, because the law says if you have a raised to power n over m, it's the same thing as m root a raised to power n. So here we take the root, the root is what? Is the third root, which is 3. So we take the 3 as the third root, then the a is 27, then raise to the corresponding numerator, which is 2. So that gives us 1 over third root of 27 raised to power 2. So we have to find third root of 27 and then raise it to power 2. What is third root of 27? So this we solve for that to have 1 over third root of 27 is what? Is 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 will give us 27. So the third root is 3. So we have 1 over 3, then raised to power 2. 3 raised to power 2, that is 9. So our answer will be what? 1 over 9. Number 3, we have 64 raised to power minus 1 over 3. 64 number 3. 64 raised to power minus 1 over 3. So this will give us reciprocal of 64 raised to power 1 over 3. Simplify further, we have 1 over third root of 64. What is third root of 64? 64 is 4 times 4 times 4. So the third root of 64 is 4. So this will give us what? 1 over 4. Then the last one we have 81 raised to power minus 3 over 4.